Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Adobe Creative Educator Show. We have a very special guest for you today and want to wish everybody a happy Teacher Appreciation Month. For those who are just joining in, please feel free to post in the chat where you're joining us from. We're looking forward to answering your questions live. For those I haven't met, my name is Clara. I work on the Adobe Education team, managing our educator community programs, and am also a former middle school teacher. So we, again, have a great show for you today. We have Laura and Matt Grundler. We're going to be talking about how to integrate the arts for social and emotional learning. And I have my co-host here, Tanya Avrith. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, happy Teacher Appreciation. We're not going to say week, we're going to say month, and then we're going to say year, because it's a year of Teacher Appreciation. So thank you for joining us. My name is Tanya Avrith, and I work on the Community and Evangelism team here at Adobe for Education. And I'm so happy you are here with us today, but I'm even happier because we have the Grundlers, and I'm so loving them. We were just saying, like, they are the ultimate guests. They've been like the best guests you could ever have, and I'll explain why. They are so organized. It's like amazing. And we have a really great show. And so I'm going to let the Grundlers, go at the Grundlers, introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about you, where you live, what you do.
Sure. Well, first of all, Tanya, thank you. I think the organization is just it's a facade, but as a family of 5 and all creative
you
people,
have to be organized, but yeah, it doesn't always work.
It's organized chaos for sure. So my name is Laura. I'm Laura Grundler, and this is my husband Matt, and we are parents first. That's our #1 role. And we have 3 amazing kids. And then we're art educators. I'm an arts administrator in North Texas.
And I am a art teacher as well. And I teach middle school. And so I also taught K-5. So
yeah,
awesome.
It's been, and we're just so excited to be here. And I think we also want to shout out to all of the teachers. I've been really trying, I work with 100 art teachers in our district, and the things that teachers are doing right now are beyond miraculous and amazing. And their love for children is just, I'll get, yeah. So I'm thankful in a lot of ways that, you know, one of the things about this is highlighting how hard teachers work and parents seeing that. And so I just want to definitely shout out to all teachers and thank them for what they do. And I agree with you, Tanya, not just this week, not just one day, but for 2020 and all beyond.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know, Matt and Laura, you've been balancing both right now. So teaching and supporting other educators and having your own children at home. I was so excited to meet them the other day when you had them all on our meeting. And I know you've also been even doing virtual theater. That's so cool.
Yes, we had actually yesterday we had the full experience. Our children they're participants in theater, and they were doing actually a full dress rehearsal. We have 3 kids, but yet 2 of them are in the same show, and our oldest one is in a different show. But they were doing it at the exact same time. They were doing Zoom theater rehearsals in full costume.
Full costume and makeup, and their theater. We belong to a beautiful little nonprofit theater here in our hometown, Genesis Children's Theater. I want to shout out to them because they're doing things to keep kids engaged in something they love, and it's beautiful. These kids had worked really hard to get their shows going, and they were about 2 weeks away from opening when this happened. And so the theater regrouped, and they
figured out a solution, a creative solution to get them, and they're gonna do some editing stuff with the Zoom videos that they get to basically put together a whole movie of their performance. So I can't wait to see what that's going to look like.
They're using Adobe Rush, and one of our good friends, Claudio Zavala, who's in this area, is connecting with the theater to kind of help them do a little bit of editing.
Share some of his wisdom.
So we're really excited about that.
Oh, we love Claudio. That sounds amazing. What a creative way of like thinking outside of the box, like
Oh my
just,
gosh.
just pivoting. And like, I feel like that's what we're all doing right now. Like figuring it out, pivoting, just kind of making it work.
Yeah. Oh,
that's all we've done since March.
I mean, it was funny because the first weekend of this, it was just after our spring break. And so we're like, all right, so we're kind of easing people in. And we were just, after the first week, we were like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. We need to figure out an actual schedule. And so by week 2 and 3, finally things started clicking and going the way that they were needing to. So
yeah, it's taken a lot of flexibility and you know, it's almost like just the creative process. You know, you try something until
it doesn't work,
it doesn't work, and then
and you keep trying, and you try something new,
right.
and you keep going, and you keep going. So keep reinventing.
Yeah.
But.
Clara?
Well, we were just going to cover a little bit about K-12 art chat. So I know we have a chat coming up later today, and we'd love to learn a little bit more about that and how teachers can participate in the Twitter chat.
Well, we started about 5 years ago. We started this Twitter chat called K-12 Art Chat. And originally it started with just kind of being, well, first off, Laura, a little bit of a backstory. Laura had moved into an administrative role, and I was about year 5, I guess, 3 or 4,
longer than that, but
into teaching. And I kept asking Laura, and you know, as an administrator, you have long days, long weeks, and I'm bouncing ideas. I'm like, hey, how about this idea? Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, and she's exhausted from, you know, being an administrator. And so she's like, surely you can't be the only one who is in need of a sounding board or a group. And so we started looking through a suggestion of a friend of ours, said, hey, get into this Twitter thing. And we were like, really? And so we kind of one day just kind of took a leap of faith and found a group to get involved in. And all of a sudden we're like, hey, well, let's start reaching out. And it was originally just for our district. And within 6 months, it started, people from other states were like, hey, can this be for me too, even though I'm not in your same state? And we're like, yeah, why not? And about a year in, we realized, hey, we need to change the name of this, and turned it to K-12 Art Chat.
Officially, yeah.
And so it's gone through a few different hybrid names, but and it's every Thursday night, 8:30 Central Time. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we can definitely we talk about all kinds of topics and all kinds of things. So
yeah, it's, you know, really, and it was really started because, especially in, you know, I moved from an administrative role on campuses as an assistant principal to now I'm an arts administrator. And we'd gone through this experience together of trying to connect and have a community, and needing to talk to other people that sometimes were like-minded and sometimes that weren't. And it's just been, you know, the thing about it is it's a really positive place for people to interact and have questions, and it's really supportive and uplifting. And that's something we really think teachers need and want to provide for them. So it's amazing to us that we look back and we've been doing it for 5 years, almost every single Thursday night for 5 years.
And it's funny because we knew early on, we're like, oh my gosh, there's no way we're going to be able to do this on our own, and people would get really bored of listening to us talk. And we're like, there's no way we can come up with topics. And so we started reaching out as our network started growing more and more, and started getting these people to host. And so it was kind of took a little bit of the burden off, because then we didn't have to come up with everything, and these people just, and our network just exploded.
It's amazing all the topics they bring to the table.
Just recently we were talking about robotics, and we talked about differentiation for, you know, different learners,
assessment and creativity, you know, and that's the thing. It's K-12 Art Chat, but it's not just necessarily for art teachers. It's for any teacher that wants to bring creativity into their classroom. And so the idea of really being able to just learn from the arts and bring those creative processes into what you're doing in the English classroom or the math classroom, that's what we want. So sometimes the idea of it being an art chat scares off people, but we embrace it all, because we want people to look at, how can I look at assessment differently? How can I differentiate differently? How can I do arts integration in my classroom, even though I'm not an art teacher, you know, and really just looking at all avenues and getting different perspectives from all around the world. It's been really awesome.
I mean, we started noticing, well, it's not really something to notice, it just kind of happens. But, you know, we knew that our teachers got it. They understood the importance of creativity. And there's a component of creativity that really scares, as Laura was saying, that really scares a lot of other subject areas. But as they start to see, you know, and I know this is a question we're going to end up talking about later, but just pulling that little tiny bit of creativity and allowing that to happen in a subject area like science or in math or in, you know, history or whatever, those are the things that are really going to help kids, you know, who might be struggling in those other areas. So.
Yeah. And we see some people from the community popping in too. So nice to see you, Jeff Glade. Can personally vouch for that. Been benefiting from the K-12 art chat. And I see also Dennis has joined us as well. We were just
Dennis. Hi, Dennis.
about that earlier. Nice to see you.
Seeing some friendly faces.
Yeah.
Aw, I
We're
love
glad
that.
for Jeff and Dennis to be in here. So that's awesome.
That's a really nice community. And I think it's been probably, it's so important right now to have this community around us, right? As we're, you know, all kind of grappling with this kind of uncharted territory of teaching in this environment. I'm just kind of curious, like, how do you see the arts being incorporated across the curriculum, like, as, like, you know, right now, considering it's like distance learning or remote learning, like, how are you seeing that go down?
You know, we're seeing it from a lot of different angles, because we're seeing it as parents and we're seeing it as employees and educators, and then we're seeing it from our vast community of amazing colleagues. And I think it looks a little different everywhere, but the idea is that one of the things that I love seeing is that, you know, it's kind of like the sidewalk chalk everywhere. Like there's definitely an understanding that kids need the arts right now more than ever. You know, they need that place of expression and comfort and joy. And you can see it, like, in our neighborhood. Our kids did the sidewalk chalk, where we just went around and we wrote inspirational messages, and they did little doodles and things like that. And then, you know, there's rainbows. People are putting rainbows in their windows, and rocks.
Several weeks later, we went on a walk. You know, part of our routine was to go on a walk for like 30 minutes, just kind of get out of the house and just get some fresh air and stuff. And then we started noticing that somebody went down the street painting positive messages on little rocks and sticking them on people's mailboxes. And so, you know, and it's like, well, okay. I mean, we're not gonna, just nice to see that was, you know, what came from that. So, well,
and I think if you think about remote learning and how challenging it is, just the idea of the technology we have and the tools we have, there are so many creative avenues that kids are able to show what they know in different ways. And so I'm seeing a lot more infographics. I'm seeing more, just more visual explanation than text. And
well, I think that's the important thing, you know, as you move into different curriculums, different subject matters, you know, for a kid to be able to explain something one way and not really understand it, but if they can explain it maybe by a drawing or maybe by an infographic or something else, to be able to then repeat it back to the teacher and say, hey, you know, this is what I pulled from that. That's where the curriculum is really going to start changing, and that's that key component of why the arts can help with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. Do you have any tips for teachers?
Well, yeah. So as the art leader, I guess, we went through this iteration of trying to do these lesson plans that are templates, and they made a lot of sense to us, right?
As art teachers.
As art teachers and as educators, we have a lot of lingo that we use, and it makes perfect sense to us. But the translation of that for parents was difficult. Plus, we know from doing this, like, the amount of things coming our way right now is just so much. So we pared it down to a 3-step process in our lesson plans that we're sending out, just because to make it more bite-sized and easy. And we really looked at the creative process as the starting point. So thinking about design thinking and starting with empathy and that kind of thing, you need to look and you need to think about it first, right? So if we're doing a
Well,
lesson,
investigation.
yeah, I think I shared a lesson with you, Tanya, for the notes. That was our daughter. We did a lesson where we read the little book, The Word Collector by Peter Reynolds. And then we had her think about that and think about what words she's collecting right now. And we looked at the pictures and she started thinking about all the words she was collecting. And then it was time to plan and create. And so what we started thinking about is like, what could you create? What could you plan? And so I said, how about we start by just collecting all the words and writing them all down on 2 pieces of
all the ones that you're thinking about. And she was thinking about like her friends. She was thinking about school. She was thinking about teachers. She was thinking about
coronavirus was on there. Dogs. I mean, all of these things. And like there was fear was one of her words, and but also joy and being at home. She loved that we're making pizza together as a family on Friday nights, you know. So pizza was one of her words. And so we took those 2 pieces of paper, and she had written out all of her words. And for art, we had used complementary colors. And so she wove those 2 pieces of paper together, and then we made it into a journal cover so that she now has a place to collect
store those thoughts and those words, and a place to look and think and kind of start that cycle all over again.
So we sat and we planned and we created that. And then it was time, like we really like to end our lessons with, now let's reflect on what we learned and talk about how we can share that forward. And so then it's the idea of, you know, how can you use this journal? What will you use it for? What, you know, and just having that question and answer back and forth where she's reflecting on, or the child is reflecting on, what can I do now? Or what could I have even done better in this lesson? And then share it on. And, you know, we really are big believers in digital portfolios. And so just take a picture of that piece of artifact that you have and document it and share it with your teacher, you know, and that's it. And so keep it simple. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that I can attest to that as a parent, you know, of 2 you know, young children, and trying to balance work and home and figure out, you know, how am I going to get my son's work done? Keeping it simple, I think, is definitely the mantra for I think all parents and teachers. So that's good. And Laura and Matthew just mentioned like the blog post. I just want you to know that I'm going to be sharing at the end of today's session all of our show notes, and that's why I said at the beginning, like they were so organized. They provided like meticulous resources of everything that they were going to reference. So everything you'll find in those show notes. So stay tuned. They're really good.
Yeah, they're so ready to go, and excited to share those. But when it comes to social and emotional learning, in particular, how does that come into play with distance learning, and what are some tips that we can strengthen it?
I think the first is just thinking about love and gratitude, and just, you know, like, I mean, so the hard thing for us is like, there's no differentiation between being a teacher and being a parent. Like it's all, our life is like this giant circle craziness. And we hope that like going back to design thinking, the first thing is empathy, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're really practicing the idea of, you know, sharing and showing love and thinking about, like we had a talk with our son the other night about
being thankful for what, you know, the gratitude of, you know, what you currently have versus what some other people may not. And, you know, when you're kind of reminded of that, you're a little bit, you're a little bit more reflective. You're a little bit more, you know, understanding when you approach something. You go, oh yeah, you know, they're not coming from the same place that I am. And so that, you know, just makes you a little bit better of a person. And, you know, that's really what all of that kind of comes down to. So.
And I think maybe during this time, some of the things we would normally do, like some of the getting out in our community or doing activities at our church, are a little limited. So we have to think outside the box a little bit about what can we donate? Like yesterday, we were able to donate some dog food, you know, like, or what can you guys do? Even, and it's simple things like, you need to call your nana. Like, you know, like that's important. Like check in on people. Like that's practicing love and gratitude right now. Just check in on people.
You know, letting others know that you're thinking about them. I mean, and there's all kinds of scientific research that shows that if you reach out to someone or, you know, several people, what comes back to you emotionally, you know, builds you and makes you happier. And who doesn't need to be more happy right now? So.
I gotta call my mom. She got me thinking, like, I haven't called my mom in a few days. We all need to call our moms.
Moms, grandmas. Yeah.
Yes.
Call your mom.
Yeah, I gotta call my mom. I feel really bad right now. No, but you're right. True.
Yeah. Even though we're apart, we can stay connected, and it's not a thing to isolate yourself.
Right. And I think we get so caught up in our day-to-day sometimes that and then that anxiety of like being on, feeling like, you know, everyone jokes like, is it Thursday or is it Monday? I can't tell if it was fast or slow. Like, it's just this really weird feeling of like how the days and nights and weeks have started to blend. And like, guys, this is the 8th show we've done.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I
mean, to be thinking about that, we're, you know, in week 6.
We're in week 7.
6 or 7. I don't know.
I don't know. We don't
But
even know
we're
Yeah.
you know, we're quickly approaching the end of the school year, and that's, I mean, it was like when it first started, it was like, okay, we've got a while, we can just kind of pace ourselves and get into it.
Yeah.
And then now we're on the other end of it now, looking back and going, holy cow, we are.
That's not what you said.
Well, but this whole idea of like taking a moment to be reflective and being super intentional about, you know, remembering that you're not alone, and like to reach out to someone and be like grateful for what you have. It changes perspective, I think, completely. And there are people who are in hard times. Obviously, like, people are not in work, families, you know, are struggling. Like, it, you know, it would definitely be tone deaf to recognize, you know, to not acknowledge that, like, there's a lot going on in people's lives right now.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully one of the things that we are constantly talking about is how, you know, we're at this really crazy crossroad right now of life and education, and, you know, we're at this point where we can reevaluate things and we can reassess what is important, and, you know, we start looking for those positives of like what, you know, that hope of, hey, you know what, we're at this point. We have the possibility to really, you know, that hope to really turn things around, and, you know, to really just kind of take a step back and breathe, and just, you know, silver linings of what's there, and what's important, what's really, truly important. And that's.
Well, and I think we've, you know, we did a little podcast about silver linings, because we've seen that like, just in our family and our time throughout this, we didn't talk about this in our show notes. Sorry, Tanya, but we've been practicing this thing. We talk about Reflect 31, and we started that probably 3 or 4 years ago in August. When we're headed back to school, we take a day for the entire month of August where we take a mindful moment where we're reflecting on something,
to look back at the previous
school year,
what went well, what didn't,
to really prepare for that new place, and look for those silver linings, and look for where you can improve and where you can continue to make a difference. And, you know, there's so many silver linings, just even working with my teachers. Like, I had a teacher the other day say, I hope this collaboration doesn't go away, because my teams are working really hard together, and they're collaborating more. You know, again, going back to just being an art teacher, a lot of times you're the only one on a campus. So I had assigned them into groups at the beginning of the year, not knowing that this is going to happen. But I said, you guys really need to work on collaborating in these small groups together. And they are so thankful for that. But mostly they're just thankful for each other, because they're really spending a lot of time in this collaboration. And to me, that's such a positive, like, and to hear that, I don't want that to go away. And I think that's when Matt says reflecting on what are the things we need to really look at and keep. You know, that's the kind of thing we want to keep. Yeah. And the last one, I think, is self-care.
Oh goodness.
So I don't know that either of us are pros at this.
No,
just so you
by
know.
no means. But I mean, just, you know, self-care can be to take that, you know, and I well, to totally change topic, but I've been really excited to see on TV, they had those little snippets of commercials now. Instead of it just bombarding you with, you know, buy this, it's, here's your 30 seconds of mindful moments, and it's like the ocean, or it's the jungle, or it's
I like the bacon one.
Breathe in with the smell of bacon, breathe out with the smell of bacon. I don't know who that is, but it's just to get you to just kind of, there's no music, there's nothing other than just kind of breathe and take a second. And you know, I know it's hard. Yeah, absolutely. It's hard, but it's something that will, even just going for a walk for 30 minutes, or, you know, just getting outside. I mean, we've been outside so many mornings because it's been so nice that's where we start working from. And then by afternoon, it gets a little warm, so then we come back inside. But to start your morning out where you're outside, just kind of getting the fresh air, just doing your work, even out there, you know, changing the space up a little bit. There's just so much.
Well, and pulling away. Like, I think that going back to the point of not knowing what day it is and what week it is, and the hours blend together, there's got to be time to turn it off. There's got to be a time that you put your phone somewhere else and you turn off the laptop, and you're putting that away. I mean, we try really hard, not every night of the week, but you know, we really try to, especially we've had an opportunity, to eat together, and just, you know, and there's no tech allowed at the dinner table. Like, that's it. Like, we're talking about whatever's going on in the world and whatever we need to have. And we've also taken more time to have weekly family meeting where we just check in with each other to say, how are you feeling about things? You know, what do you need?
How's it all going?
Yeah.
You know, how much are we getting done? How much are we needing still to do? And so,
who are you missing? Is there somebody you need to FaceTime with? We found out one of our daughters was just desperately missing one of her friends. And so we found her mom's phone number and made that FaceTime happen, you know? So I think that self-care is huge. One of the things I've been doing is I meet with my, we call ourselves the Sal Sisters. We're silly. But the year that I went to the School for Art Leaders at NAEA, there were four women that went to that opportunity that were all from Texas. And we've all become really, really close friends. And so we've been Zooming once a week at the Sal Sister Zoom. And we just, you know, we're all art educators and we have a lot in common, and we're just really good buddies, and we check in on each other, and that's important too. And I just, that's happy time. You've got to just find that somewhere. And we've been making a lot more art.
Beautiful,
yeah. We journal. We both have our journals. We talk about that a little bit in our stuff. We process things visually and through art making, you know?
I mean, even with connecting, and actually I'm wearing this shirt that says,
let's turn social distancing.
Trying to read upside down.
Yeah. Let's turn social distancing into creative connecting.
And
it's
shout out to the artist is Noah Scallion. He's an art professor.
They do the creative sprint challenges. But I was just thinking about, you know, like, I have some friends that we do journal swaps with, where I'm sending my journal to them and they're sending their journal to me, and we just kind of work back and forth in these things. And, you know, just even that, you get to kind of see where they're thinking, what they're thinking about, you know, the things that are weighing on them and their approaches. And that kind of is humbling and kind of happy all at the same time too, which you know, helps with that self-care. So
definitely. I'm just thinking, like, I probably am the worst. Like, I don't turn off. I'll be sending Clara like messages. And, and this is bad. I mean, like, I know we're bad. Like, we just like don't ever stop. And you know, the thing is, it does, like, and I think you probably feel the same way. Like, there's jobs that you feel like you're working and it's a job, and then there's things you do and you love it so much it doesn't feel like a job, but you still need to turn it off. And I think there's two extremes. Even though, like, I do need to work, of course, you know, but like, but it doesn't feel like that way because I like it so much. And I'm sure, like, there's, like, as educators, it's usually like that. Like, we don't turn off because we actually really hopefully we really enjoy what we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, for educators, a lot of us feel like this is our calling, and it's part of who we are in our DNA almost. And it's there's a passion behind that, you know, and it is hard because you're serving others, but you cannot take care of others unless you put the mask the oxygen mask on first, right? Like when you're on the plane, they tell you, you take care of you first so that then you can take care of everybody else. And that's something we all need to remind ourselves. You've got to check out and take care of you so that you can serve others.
If you don't have that energy because you're sick, because you've been working nonstop, you're not going to do anybody any good. And so it's just, taking that, you have to take that time for you. It's not to make you feel guilty of, oh, I'm taking this time for me and I feel bad now. But no, you've got to know that and be okay with that. So, have to.
Well, Clara, I wonder, do we have any questions from our viewers? We have so many wonderful people that have been chiming in, and I see we have Kamal Preet, who joins us from India. I think she's joining us every week. So hi, Kamal. We do have a question, or more of a statement.
More questions, comments. Put them in below, and we'll address those. But thank you, Kelly.
It's Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Chat. Great way to connect.
One of your soul sisters.
She's one of my soul sisters.
Awesome. And there's a chat tonight too.
Yes, you guys.
Yeah. So you guys are going to be on there connecting with us, and we're
connecting with all of our PLN that we have, and it'll be good.
And we're really kind of talking about that same thing. How are we going to creatively connect while social distancing, and how are we going to keep this going? So we're really excited about tonight's topic and having you on there and keep the discussion going.
Well, we're really excited to join tonight at you said it's at 8:30, right? 8:30.
Yeah, 8:30 Central Time. So.
And Dennis says NAEA is posting resources for SEL free for all under the remote learning tool. Oh, that's awesome. That's good to know. Thank you. That's good comments.
Dennis is a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Well, Claire, I think you were going to show our show notes and post them inside the live chat. I don't have the access to post them in the live chat, but I'm super excited. Clara, as she's getting them up, I'll just kind of explain. So every week we have, different guests that come on, and like the Grundlers, they share like really great resources. And so what we've done is gone back and curated all of the resources from every single week. And what we've done is we've put it on this Adobe page. And this link is going to be inside the live comments, and I'll tweet it out. But what you can do is it starts with the latest show, and you'll see once I get the show up on YouTube, the YouTube link from today's show will be on the show notes. And then underneath each one, there's a link. And that link takes you to a Wakelet collection where I curate all the resources from each week's show. So it's super clean, super organized. You'll know where to go back. And I've been updating it for a few weeks, but like it's totally up to date right now. So I'm super excited that all of our shows can be easily found in one place on this page. And I promise you, our show notes from today are awesome. Like, they're really good. Like, there's some really good stuff in there, and they were really thought out. So thank you for being such awesome A+ guests today.
Got a little star.
Yeah,
you did. It was like,
yeah, I'm so honored. We're so honored to be on the list, though. Looking at everybody that's been on the show so far, holy cow, you have a great cast of educators to learn from. Wow.
Well, you guys are amazing. So we're so happy to have you. I mean, look at this. Like, we were like, gotta have you guys on. You do great work. So we're so blessed to have you on our show, sharing such great tips and ideas, and your energy is so warm. It's such a pleasure to be part of your family for just this like last half hour. I mean, I was just thinking about like how wonderful parents you must be. You seem to like just like, I know a few people say that, and you're like, but like, I just picture you like having your dinner and like, and nothing's ever perfect, but like your warmth and your kindness really does come through. So thank you so much.
Well, we're very honored.
I think
thank you.
The cornerstone of our family is transparency and honesty. And
because our teenage son said, "Mom, you need to stop being so honest."
I think it's the years of being a high school assistant principal. I'm like, okay, let's have this chat.
Let's just do it now and get it over with, and then no one will feel uncomfortable.
So I don't know about like being a great parent, but we definitely are out there and honest.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I think a question, I'm not sure if we really got to do it, but was, what would you say to teachers and, to anybody really? And I think it's just to be easy on yourself. I mean, I know a lot of people have said that, and I know it's being constantly reminded to us because we need to be easy on ourselves. The kid doesn't get something turned in for that day, it's going to be all right. It will be okay. And just, I just be easy on yourself because it's.
Yeah, I think it's taking that kind of what we already talked about, just taking that moment to step back and breathe, be kind to yourself, and then, just rely on your community. Hopefully you have a network, and the network doesn't have to be an online network. I mean, hopefully maybe it's your neighbors, maybe it's your church community, maybe it's your kids. I don't know, but just whoever your cornerstone rock people are, they're there for you, and don't feel like you can't reach out to them, because that's that reciprocal process. That's what it's all about, is that we take care of each other. So make sure to be easy on yourself and take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones, and then it'll all kind of come full circle.
Yeah,
that's good.
I love that. Okay. Well, we look forward to continuing that conversation in the Twitter chat tonight. So we'll all be on there on Twitter, so encourage you to join us this evening. And we'll be back next week. So first, in honor of Teacher Appreciation Month, we have Kyle Webster, who's an amazing artist from Adobe, who's going to be doing a live painting party. So bring your paintbrushes, markers, whatever you have in your house.
Or so.
Yes, fresco. I have my iPad like this.
Fresco versus analog. So it's going to be fun.
So excited. And that'll be Tuesday at 12:00 p.m. Pacific time. So join us on the Adobe for Education Facebook and Twitter channels. And then we'll also be back for our weekly live stream, our Adobe Creative Educator show at 12:30 on Thursday. So join us every week here for another new guest every week. But thank you all so much for joining in, and for all those writing in the comments. Really appreciate your support, and hang in there as you are. Oh, here's my heart. Continue to support your students and fellow educators. But thank you again to the Grundlers, and we'll see you on Twitter tonight or next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
we certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching. Click the link in the description below to explore more free online professional development, and click the link on screen to subscribe to the channel for more videos.